Hello there, I'm Dr. John Rex, and I'm here to answer your burning questions about AMR. The DISARM Act is a piece of legislation working its way forward that is meant to address a specific problem with the cost of the newer antibiotics. Newer antibiotics are going to tend to be a good deal more expensive than an older generic antibiotic. And the tension between the price of the new and the old comes into play when you look at the way we pay for healthcare in the United States. We use a system called the DRG system, the Diagnosis Related Group. And DRGs are a long list of DRGs. There's one for every possible illness that could put you in the hospital. So let's imagine you get admitted to the hospital with pneumonia. Some bacteria is giving you bacterial pneumonia. There's going to be a DRG code for taking care of bacterial pneumonia. And that DRG code is meant to provide the hospital with all the money that it needs on average to take care of somebody with pneumonia. And so it's the job of the hospital is to take care of you for that amount, actually a little less than that amount, so the hospital makes an appropriate profit so that it can stay in business. And the notion of the value of the DRG is something that every few years they get reviewed. Has care of pneumonia changed? Are there new things out there that need to be included in the DRG bundle that is part of taking care of somebody's pneumonia? So every few years they do get updated, but there's always a bit of a lag. And in addition, if there's a very expensive high-end technology that not everybody needs, is only needed occasionally, the DRG is not going to reflect that very well. So if you think about the DRG for pneumonia, it's going to cover the most common forms, but every so often there's going to be somebody who's got a really resistant bacteria who needs one of the newer, high-end, expensive antibiotics. Might need more than one, might need a whole bunch of stuff. And so what do you do then? Because then that case actually breaks the logic. The DRG is no longer paying for things. So the idea of DISARM is to say, look, we recognize that what the DRG system does. We recognize that every so often you need something that's not in the box. You need this very special high-end antibiotic. What we're going to do is we're simply going to say, look, antibiotics, particular high-end antibiotics, they're just not part of the DRG system. We're going to carve them out. So the shorthand is DRG carve out. We're saying that if you need this thing, well, you get your DRG money, but we'll also pay separately for the high-end antibiotic, DRG carve out. And DISARM says that antibiotics that are developed under a set of rules that were actually invented in 2012-13 with the GAIN Act, what's called a Qualified Infectious Diseases Product. If you invent a QIDP antibiotic, and the QIDP, to be QIDP, you got to do some interesting things. You got to treat a difficult kind of bacteria. There's a list of things that are QIDP. So if you're QIDP, then DISARM says, if the hospital needs to use you to treat the patient, we'll pay on the side. It's a DRG carve-out. So that's the idea of DISARM. It's meant to take away any notion that there's a disincentive for using the newer high-end antibiotic when you need it. You're not supposed to use it otherwise. But when you do need it, it doesn't cost the hospital more to use it than it would to use a generic antibiotic of some other kind. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.